All right, everyone, welcome back into another NBA props video. Going to be breaking down the top prop bets for Game 2 between the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks. Let's go ahead and get into it. And I do want to start off with a game preview for this game. Now, obviously, no one is injured in this game, but really the biggest takeaway from Game 1 is really what to expect from both teams mentally. How are they both going to bounce back from that game? You're going to have the Pacers coming in off of a pretty emotional high with that come from behind win once again in just strange fashion that has happened 3 times thus far this postseason. Then you also have the New York Knicks, who really seemed extremely disappointing. Actually, compare that to the Bucks and to the Cavs. They seem more disappointed than those two teams combined. The look on Jalen Brunson's face was pretty darn crazy there. But it is an interesting thing. It's like the Pacers, it's like the Breaking Bad memes. He can't keep getting away with it. That's kind of how it feels. And so that's kind of my long way of saying I do agree with the Knicks being 5.5 point favorites in this game. Also do agree with the game total being that high. I wouldn't be surprised to see like a blowout happen either way as well. But again, I would agree with that 5.5 point favorite in the Knicks, but also just looking at it, I naturally want to be betting on more overs given that game total that we have. And as you guys are going to see, we're not exactly getting that many top prop bets. I'm looking at the board right now, as you guys are. All the top prop bets are under bets, which has been the case with PrizePicks, so it's a little bit annoying there. So let's go ahead and just kind of break down the prop bets for each team. And so let's go ahead and just start off with the Knicks. That's where we're getting some of our better bets here. And I would agree, and I actually want to start off with this one. We got the Karl-Anthony Towns over fantasy score of 41. He does draw a fine matchup, DVP-wise 15th. Easiest matchup for him. But across the board, this is a bet that we are seeing as a good bet. All the data points are telling us to bet the over for 41, probably just a little bit too high. The average sportsbook line would have it at 42.5. We see that last game against the Pacers, again, in that high scoring game. Yes, it did go into overtime, but he really crushed that over in that game. And if we look at his game log against the Pacers thus far, he has crushed the Pacers as well in terms of getting the over 4 straight games. So I do like that one. That's probably the top one that we have on the board, and the one I want to go out of my way to target. Again, with it being a higher scoring game and with it being a game that's going to be close, I want to rather be betting on the overs, especially with the Knicks being 5.5 point favorites. Now we go ahead and look at this other prop bet. We got Mitchell Robinson. And so in the last game, Mitchell Robinson, this was the best bet on the board for him to get it under his fantasy score. Unfortunately, it did not hit. Okay, but at 19, it would have only hit by 1. He got the over by 0.1. Okay, and that's because he had a block and a steal early on in that game. And that's just one of those things where, yes, it's within the realm of possibilities. That's why these lower lines like that with Mitchell Robinson are a little bit risky, because an outlier like that can happen and really skew the data. But you take away one of those and he's really not that close to cashing. Okay, so he did get that over in that last game. Unfortunately, he did get the minutes that he was expected to get in that game. And so I think I can go back to that one. That's not going to be one that we love just because he is someone that is typically a point per minute guy. And because that being said, with the blocks and steals, it wouldn't be too surprising to see that happen again with him. But this is one that where if we were to bet it each game, like it would be in our favor, and I would agree about 55% of the time. So I'm fine with that one. We also have Jalen Brunson. So this is one of those interesting ones as well. I do feel, and this has been the case with PrizePicks, is that especially with the Stars, their lines are just been egregiously high. We saw this with Jokic with basically every game where all of his lines were just a little bit too high. We are seeing that with Jalen Brunson as well. And so although I do think he's going to have a good game, and again, I kind of think that he could just really go off in this game, just given the fact that, again, you got the Pacers coming in off of that emotional high, and then you got the Knicks coming in off that emotional low. I think Brunson's someone that could log in and get them ready to go. I think he's someone that could naturally reset, although he was the player that was kind of the most sad, I would say. The look on his face was crazy there. But yeah, it's interesting because it is a high-scoring game again. But this is one of those ones where I could see Underdog coming out with this line basically at the average sportsbook line, which is 43.42 right now. So let's just say 43. I would want to bet the over then on Underdog as well. Probably has a decent chance of being in the middle. And so from there, this is one of those interesting bets for him with his assists. Okay, all the data points are telling us to bet the over. The average sportsbook line is at 7.5. We are seeing some differing lines here as well. Okay, so at 6.5, FanDuel, DraftKings heavily favoring the over there, as well as Flip. And then you also have some of these other books where they have the line at 7.5. 99.5 heavily favoring the under there. I think we could get to that over. Don't exactly love that game log for him recently, but again, we would be expecting him to get that over. Probably has a decent chance to be a push in this highest scoring game. From there, there's not really that many great prop bets. We are getting some that are worth calling out just because of the amount of green that we have. So like OG for over his rebounds and assists, you could get to maybe Karl-Anthony Towns for over his rebounds and assists, but we're already betting on his over fantasy score. Then we do have Jalen Brunson. This is probably why his fantasy score is a little bit too high on PrizePicks right now, because they have, it's a slight difference, but they have his points, rebounds, and assist line at 41. Definitely the highest valued among all the books and data points that we have coming in. And so that could be another way of going about betting on his under. If you guys want, you could just bet on his under 41.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And so now we go ahead and get into the Pacers. And I will say the Pacers have been a more difficult team to really nail down in terms of like good prop bets that we've had. That's what the data said for most of the postseason. And that, I think that's just true. You look at the ways they're winning, it's just kind of random ways, like the comebacks that they've had and whatnot. It's been a little bit strange in that regard. And so with that, it just makes sense why we're not getting that many great edges on paper. We actually saw this for game 2 as well, for that OKC and Timberwolves game as well. We got one team where we're getting clear edges with, and then we have another team where it's kind of up in the air. And so we'll go through and just kind of take a peek at what are some good bets. And I want to take a peek at the bet tag that has the hammer bets. And so Andrew Nembhard for over his points, rebounds, and assists. Yeah, I mean, I could see this one getting there again in the high game total. We could get there. It is worth calling out that at 19.5, it's about minus 132 on FanDuel. DraftKings only has that at minus 115. So if you guys are someone that bets on DraftKings, hammer that home if you guys get the opportunity to. It's a very good line there. But yeah, he's been playing well, obviously, lately in this postseason. Look at what he's done against New York, though, thus far this season. That game was definitely an outlier. Got hot, obviously. I shouldn't say it didn't get hot, but the minutes have been there, and he's just been running hot this postseason. And so it's, yeah, I don't know. I get it. I get why this one's popping up. And again, at 19.5 on DraftKings, I probably would want to bet the over, but just the lines that we're getting for the Pacers all feel like we'd be forcing it, at least for PrizePicks. Let's see any great bets here where most of the data points are telling us good things to do. Andrew Nembhard, who we could bet on as unders. Yeah, just all of them feel like we're forcing on PrizePicks. So let's go ahead and jump into Underdog. And so it is more of the same there for Underdog. Maybe you can get to Obi Toppin for over 12.5 points, rebounds, and assists. It's an interesting one, right? He's projected to get 18 minutes, ended up getting 20 minutes in that last game. He has been someone that I would say makes sense to get minutes against New York, who does run out some heavy minutes for bigs, but at the same time, Pacers, obviously, they can do that as well. So yeah, again, just feels like we're forcing it with the Pacers. So the bet of the day is mostly going to be concentrating on the New York prop bets, and then we're going to be filling in with whatever other prop bets are popping up currently on the 9-to-5 PrizePicks and Underdog cheat sheet. So we go ahead and get into the 9-to-5 bet of the day. Going to be a 3-slip bet here for you guys to fill in with which other top bets that are currently on the 9-to-5 PrizePicks cheat sheet. Again, if you guys want access to that, make sure to head on over to 9to5sports.com, get access to it for just $10 a month. I would include some MLB prop bets, but the current best ones are literally about to go live as I'm recording this video. There are a couple of WNBA prop bets that I kind of like as well, but obviously that's going to be for you guys to decide when you are watching this video. We are a day and 6 hours away. Okay, so there's going to be plenty of other prop bets that are popping up as well. It's going to be Flex Friday as well on PrizePicks. Maybe you guys could potentially use these bets there with that as well, but just depends on if these lines are still the same lines as when I'm recording this video. Again, I do think with Jalen Brunson, we're probably going to get a good line for him on Underdog, so just be on the lookout for that there as well. Now, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel. If you guys want access to the 9-to-5 Sports PrizePicks and Underdog cheat sheets, as well as a bunch of fantasy golf tools, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Get access to all the tools available on the website for just $10 a month. Take advantage of that, guys. It's the best value out there. I price it that way for you guys. Thank you for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.